Hi friends, welcome back. You can see the title. It is Nope Day, the day we have all been waiting for. You may be seeing this video a little bit later, but I am seeing this film a little bit earlier. In fact, it's so early that I am seeing a screening that's kind of like a secret screening that security is going to be at. So I won't be able to show you a lot, but I will be able to give you my full spoiler-free reaction. I am so excited to see this film. I have been waiting patiently like the rest of you. I am a huge Jordan Peele fan. All of you know this. Us is one of my favorite horror movies of all time. And Get Out is just simply amazing, and I cannot wait to see what's in store. I know that the second trailer for this film gave away a lot, so I have stayed away from it, although it's played a couple of times in the cinema. I've just not looked, and I've heard a couple of things, but I have not seen anything. What I do know is that the film takes place in a ranch type situation, and we've got Daniel Kaluuya, Keke Palmer, and Steven Yeun. There's so many in this cast, and I think that the film will have a couple of surprises, because I saw Barbie Ferreira is on the cast. I don't know if it's like a cameo or what the deal is. Her character does have a name, so I'm very excited. Oz Perkins, it's just a madhouse. Oz Perkins, God. That's really interesting. Anyway, so I'm very excited to see what's in store. I saw the first teaser trailer. I kind of know that the film has to do with a cloud that appears, and we believe probably aliens. So I'm going to keep this completely spoiler free, and we're going to go in and check it out. I am going to a very special screening that is ahead of time, so I'm not actually allowed to film anywhere internally in the cinema. But I won't let that stop my excitement, because I am pumped. And I can't wait to tell you my thoughts and whether it's worth going to the cinema for. I know it has to be worth it. It has to be worth it. Imagine if it's not great. Oh, I'm just very excited. I'm also seeing this ahead of time. I don't know when you'll see this video, but I am watching it ahead of time, so I will have no idea what the rest of the world thinks. So this is a very exciting opportunity, which I'm very happy to be a part of. Obviously, Jordan Peele is a master, and I also want to say stay tuned till the end of this video for a very exciting surprise. Let's go watch Nope! I should mention I am walking to the cinema today, so there's no car, because it's in the city, and I live in the city, so yay! It's a nice day for it too, winter. Jordan Peele, the way that he opens his films, or the way he presents his films to the public, and then what actually happens, always a different story. Always a different story. I was not prepared. Fantastic. It was absolutely fantastic, but very different to what I was expecting, which is to be expected from Jordan Peele. I felt the exact same way coming out of Us. I went in late thinking it was going to be spoiled, and there's just no way you could spoil it. And this one, there's just so much. It's quite a long film. It runs just under 2 hours. So I'm going to give you obviously the spoiler-free version, but I am going to say this film very much appeals to me in a very strange, really particular way, and it was the biggest surprise. So this film actually plays on like one of my biggest fears, and I've never seen it in a horror movie before. Kind of in one classic, but never to play on the actual story that freaked me out as a kid and developed an actual fear in me. And this movie is like technically about this in a way, and it was, you're not gonna guess it unless you know me. I was just completely thrown, and it is the first scene. I'm not going to tell you because it is like quite surprising, but wow. And the way that this connects to the core story was something that it took me a while to kind of click. So of course, as we've already established, Nope is set on a ranch where OJ and Emerald are brother and sister, and they grew up in this family that are horse wranglers for films. What? And on their ranch, they start to suspect something otherworldly is going on, and the movie delves into that. There's also, as I said, an interweaving plot line with a ranch or amusement kind of park that is connected to the same kind of land, and the way it all intertwines is something that I'm going to be thinking on for a very long time. There is layers. I can tell you every single scene of this film, I was reading everyone's shirts, things in the background, because I know what Jordan Peele's like, and he really kept this set more minimalist, which I was very surprised by with, I guess, Us and even Get Out. There's a lot of locations, and although there's a lot of locations in this one, it's the sweeping landscapes you get more of, and minimal kind of, I guess, props and things in there. But because there's minimal, and they definitely go for an interesting color schemes with the decor and the art design, where it is like colorful is kind of like the brand, and you see this in all of the marketing materials with like the men, you know, these things. It's multicolored carnival, but it's within this kind of muted, or not really muted, but just not overly cinematic. I'll explain that in a sec. Overly cinematic landscape, or just shots and different sets. And when I say that, I mean that in a way that this film, the grading of it is really interesting because it's not overdone, and we've seen a lot of horror recently with a lot of stylization, and particularly like, you know, really going into the contrast, the blues and the greens. We see this a lot in Mike Flanagan, and although I love that style, Jordan Peele really lets the story flow in this, and it doesn't try and distract us by too many objects or flashy stylization, and mutes that back a little bit. But it is on a ranch, so everything's, you know, kind of dry and dusty. So if anything, I would say there's a lot of fading on a lot of the shots. But yeah, I thought that was really interesting because the story, it's done in a very particular way, and very original. Every time Jordan Peele comes out with a film, it is original in its own kind of way. I would say that Get Out, if anything, has a lot of strong inspiration, and I mean all of his films have strong inspiration, and in this one there's definitely throwaway lines and things that are coming from horror films. There's a lot of signals to them, and you'll know it when you hear them. Like, there's some things that are just classic horror movie lines that he puts in this. Obviously, if you've seen Us, like the twins are, you know, a call to The Shining. Get Out was more of a psychological horror. Us is, I mean, it's very up to interpretation, but it's quite like a slasher movie, and this one is quite sci-fi, which I think we were all kind of expecting, but I didn't realize how far it would go, and my mind is actually a little bit blown. But in giving that, it kind of has to take away from, I wouldn't say the horror element, but the full-on scares. And I find that it really goes in like peaks and flows and plays on different fears that are unexpected to the audience. And that is something that I really love. It's super original in that respect. And it has one of the most chilling scenes, almost like in the middle of the film, where you would expect that at the end. So I thought it was just really interesting the way they structured the story. And you can really tell that Jordan Peele really believes in these characters and the story alone to give us it all, and he does not try to play into the audience's expectations for a horror film, and I think that's fresh. You might call it elevated horror. I saw someone posted a quote recently from Joe Bob Briggs, and it was fantastic. It said that elevated horror is just a term that people who don't like horror use, and I feel like you just wait for it, it's gonna come out. But I mean, it's marketed as a horror movie. Jordan Peele says it's a horror movie. It's a horror movie. And if you had the same fears I have, this is like, it nails it. This is everything that it just feels really personal to me in a very particular way. I'll explain in the comments a little bit more for people who have seen it or want like spoilers, but I just don't want to go into that too much. But the way I saw this film and the connections I already knew were there, because it's like when I saw Men and I had to kind of figure out about the Green Man and all that kind of stuff. I didn't know that mythology, that story, all of that. There is a particular story in this that I know through and through, so it was really interesting for me because it spoke to me. But it is a very drama-filled horror where, I mean, it's drama, horror, sci-fi. It's very much dependent on the characters' backgrounds and their relationships all the way through. It doesn't give the audience everything that they want up front. You have to go through the stories and understand the relationships and understand where the horror truly lies before it gives you what you want. In saying that, Daniel Kaluuya, he is fantastic in everything he does, but his character is a little bit more like introverted in this film, and you know, it's about coming into his own, really. He is the protagonist, but Keke Palmer just steals the show. Like, she is So amazing. From jump, her first kind of monologue where she comes on the scene and you realize who she's going to play in the movie is fantastic. Like what kind of character, what she's about. She just steals the show, and it was such a good role for her to really show her depth and yeah, just variety and the way that she puts the characters together. I was really blown away. But we have to talk about the music. So again, like us, this one was composed by Michael Abels. Fantastic job, very subtle, and it's a lot of silence in this film. But what I liked even more than the music this time was the sound effects, or really the way they captured the valley. So there's a lot of echoing. There's a lot of really interesting sound design in terms of just filling up a room when it is meant to feel a little bit claustrophobic with people and you're really getting inside OJ, the protagonist's head. There's whispering, and it was really cool to see that in the cinema, or hear that in the cinema, because you could hear things behind you, and I almost thought someone else was talking, but it's just like all consuming, and it's just so well done in that regard. It feels very strange and eerie, and they really did a good job of making you feel like you're in that landscape, especially when you're in the ranch, because it's in a valley, and the sound it's beautiful. This film is going to work for a bunch of people. It's going to work for people who are sci-fi fans. It's going to work for people who like really character-driven stories that have a lot to give, and if you're patient enough, the payoff will be there. And it's going to work for people who like to see originality and like to see something different. Bringing something different to the screen every single time is impossible, but somehow Jordan Peele makes it look easy. And watching his films are always just a step into another universe, because you're never sure what you're gonna get, and I promise you, Nope will have you. And I love the title because I do feel like it's such a play on his trademark of the characters going no 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 no, and I just think that's, yeah, I think it's fantastic. It's self-aware, and the layers about human control in this film and our fears and how that plays into what we become is fascinating. It's just a fascinating character journey, and I cannot wait to watch it again. I will say, if anything, the film felt a little bit long in the middle, and it did throw me having one of the most scariest, intense scenes right in the middle, and then it was mind-blowing after that, don't get me wrong. But the peaks and flows really threw me off. But again, that is in the nature of doing something to an original structure, and it is very fun in those kinds of films. It's something that Ari Aster does very well as well. When you go into a film and you have no idea what's next, you can only follow what the character is doing right now, and that really makes it immersive and keeps you in your seat instead of thinking ahead. So definitely go along for it for the journey. Don't try and think ahead, because I promise you don't know what's coming next. I'm gonna give this film a personal score of 8 out of 10. I really enjoyed it. I did think the drama element kind of slowed down the pace and let go some of the tension, but there was a very strange, uncanny feeling throughout the film that really, I feel like this film is, it's gonna make me sound so crazy. I feel like this film is more closer to reality than most other horror films. Like this, I feel like this is real. For originality, I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10. The way that the characters are chosen for this particular story and how it happens to them is so strange, and yeah, the parallel story as well with the other ranch, I loved it. So yeah, I think it's highly original. I would love to hear of the film that you have that is like this, because I've never seen anything like this. And for scare, this is a hard one. Seriously, that moment, I was so scared, but it really played into my particular fears. So like personal scare in those moments, I was like an 8. But overall, when the film, you know, that's a percentage of the film, and when that's kind of stretched out, I would say it's like probably a 6. I don't think it's a very scary film, but it just depends what you're scared of. And for me, I am quite scared. So if I'll give it my personal score of scare, I'm going to give it a 7. It's not the scare you're expecting. It's nothing like anything we've seen recently. But before we go, I did promise you a surprise. Don't worry, I'm paying up. I thought we would just finish off this video by chilling out and having a relaxed conversation with Angel himself, played by Brandon Perea. Hi Brandon, thank you so much for talking to me today. How are you?
Emma, I'm great. How are you doing? Thank you so much for taking the time to chat.
Oh, thank you. I'm so excited. I loved the film. I loved the character of Angel. He felt like the unlikely link that got everyone together and kept the story moving. Straight out of the gate, he's a bit of an oversharer.
Yeah.
What was the process in creating his background?
Yeah, it was fun because the crafting the backstory with Jordan was fun because I was just kind of relaying ideas and he had his own ideas as well. So it was a big collaboration to really craft who this character was and what they were going through. And yeah, just kind of discovering, all right, this is kind of like a depressed dude. He's working at a retail store. So we'll check that off the list, all right? And then it's like, all right, why is he so mad though? He's kind of like angry at the world. Like, why is he so angry? And it's like, all right, maybe he's going through some heartbreak. So boom, check that off the list. And then it's like, all right, well, what's he doing in California? Why is he working in an electronics shop? It's like, how come this dude's just not in school or something? So then it's like, all right, let's check this off the list. He didn't go to school, and his parents kind of resent him for it. So then it's just like this bit of loneliness now, where it's like this angry, lonely person, and then you kind of craft out that backstory to craft, and like, and this is stuff that's not in some of the stuff is not in the film, you know. But I hope that the emotions come across properly in the film where that would make sense, you know. So it's like this lonely kid, and then now there's this who has no like actual purpose. So then he gets this opportunity to go on this adventure ride of like, yeah, life-changing thing of this discovery of this big spectacle. And yeah, that's just the driving force of just crafting this depressed kid. But it's like, why is he depressed? And then just diving into all that. So it's cool to be able to collaborate with Jordan on really and the producers, and Ian Cooper, one of the producers, was very involved in that as well. So it was cool to just have a team really behind crafting Angel.
Yeah, that makes sense. His attachment to it and why I guess he goes full force.
Yeah.
Yeah, into it.
Life on the line.
I heard with us that Jordan gave the actors homework. Was there any films, sci-fi or horror films, that you had to watch in preparation for Nope?
Yeah, I did. The funny thing is, when I got the job, I didn't know what the movie was or what it was about, but Jordan just sent me a list of movies to prep for it. And the list was Jaws, Close Encounters of the Third Kind, No Country for Old Men, Alien, and 2001: A Space Odyssey. And I just remember watching all of those films, and then I remember thinking, I'm like, how does this all connect? I was like, these are all a bunch of kind of like old great films, but they're all great in their own right. So I was like, this is kind of random. And then a month and a half later, he sent me the script on Christmas and just texted me Merry Christmas and sent me the script. So then I got to reading, and then I started reading, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is way different than what I thought Jordan would do. So it was cool to read that script, and now to be a part of it, it's just incredible. But yeah, that's kind of how it all happened.
Cool. Thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you so much for your time. Cheers.
That was awesome. Brandon, so cool. And his jumper, sick. If you know where that's from, let me know in the comments. But very interesting, the list of films that he put out, because I heard that Jordan Peele wanted people to have the same effect they did in Jaws about the ocean with Nope for the sky. So if that is any hint to what's about to happen, enjoy Nope if you haven't seen it. And if you have seen it, let me know your thoughts and let me know what you thought about that film list for homework. It's always interesting learning about the inspiration for these new horror movies that really, go out of the box and blend all these different genres together. So that was really exciting. Anyway, thank you so much for watching all the way to the end. I really appreciate you. If you did enjoy this video, give it a thumbs up, and I'll talk to you very soon. I can't wait to read all your comments. Bye, friends.